handle that pressure of being a leader. Cause it's a lot, like you live and die by your decisions. So, and for me, I just started realizing like, oh, if I want to make a big impact, I got to be able to make mistakes. And some people are so taught in a way to not make mistakes, the fear of being judged, critiqued, you self-sabotage, the way you look at yourself, shame, embarrassment. And for me, I started realizing early, because I made a lot of mistakes, and now I felt almost every emotion. And I started to realize like, oh, I'm over here thinking everybody's worried about my pimple on my face. Like everybody else is worried about their own pimple. So I started like thinking to myself like, hey, like I just gotta do my best and try to lead with the best intentions, and just know that they're watching. Like,
welcome back to Self Revelations. It's your boy B-Dab.
and I'm Juan Moreno.
Wannavelli. We're gonna get right into it. So today we're talking about the importance of being a leader. So with being a leader, I know for me personally, I've always had that in me. Being the youngest of 7, and you being the oldest of 10.
Damn near.
Bro, like I know that in itself can have a complete difference. But we each can have a big impact on our families and how our families move or develop. So I know for me personally, before I had got to the point where I had got, I know that, going through my path, it was going to be a blueprint for everybody that came after me. It was going to be a blueprint for, cousins, friends of cousins, friends of friends, you know what I mean? So, and what I mean by blueprint is like going to school, getting my degree, staying out of trouble, not having 10 baby mamas, like all this stuff, like molded me to show a good example for my nieces and nephews that that live with me, and them being able to look up to me and see the path that I went playing JUCO, college, D1 football, and pro ball. Like that's gonna be an inspiration for them when they're coming up, and it's gonna be like they're gonna have a route to go, because they're gonna be like, okay, well, Uncle Brandon did it this way. That's a route for them. That's another like a blueprint for them to speak. And I know that doing those things wasn't easy, but I knew that I might not be a vocal leader, but I'm a leader through example. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to you, like what is the importance of being a leader to you, just in general?
I think like for me, like the importance is knowing that like they're watching. Like they're literally watching like your every move. Like you don't have to be a vocal leader, kind of like how you were saying it. Not saying like you were implying that, but it's like some people don't have that like showcasing like, locker room halftime speech. Some people just like show it within their actions. And so like within myself, I noticed like, oh, people are always constantly watching like every single little move you make. So even the mistakes, the judgments I would make, the successes, the failures, I noticed like every little thing was being watched. Even what I did not know what was being watched is being watched, and they're kind of then like applying it to themselves, like my siblings or like my family. Like basically I started realizing like, oh, I have way more influence than I even am aware of. And so I started noticing like, oh, all the little things that I do, all the conscious things that I do, they're taking note. So for me, it was like so important to realize like, okay, I'm just going to act like my life is being recorded every single second that I'm around my family. So if I see this trash on the ground, I just pick it up. If I see like people are arguing and it's for something stupid, let me step in and let me like, calm the room basically. Or, hey, if there's no leadership being here and people don't know what to do, let me be the first person to make the first step. So for me, like being a leader was super important, because I know not everybody has it in them, because they're all caught up in them thoughts. They're all caught up within themselves. And some people don't have it. They kind of are frantic, or they don't have that they're not that type of person to put themselves in the position to be able to maybe handle that pressure of being a leader. Because it's a lot, like you live and die by your decisions. So, and for me, I just started realizing like, oh, if I want to make a big impact, I got to be able to make mistakes. And some people are so taught in a way to not make mistakes, the fear of being judged, critiqued, you self-sabotage, the way you look at yourself, shame, embarrassment. And for me, I started realizing early, because I made a lot of mistakes, and I felt almost every emotion. And I started to realize, like, oh, I'm over here thinking everybody's worried about my pimple on my face. Like, everybody else is worried about their own pimple. So I started, like, thinking to myself, like, hey, like, I just got to do my best and try to lead with the best intentions, and just know that they're watching. Like, everybody's watching. So, like, it's not about only when people are watching. It's about when people aren't. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if people are watching. Like, you just don't do good when people are watching. You also do good when nobody's watching, or when you think nobody's there. Because the moments that you also think that nobody's watching, people are watching. And so I started realizing, like, oh, every little thing that I do, has to have pure intentions, and has to be in a way of, like, influencing. So, like, when it came to, like, leadership, I understood that, everything I do has to have a purpose. So, like, if I'm going to be interviewed for every single decision I make, I have to be able to explain it. If I can't explain it, then I don't know what I'm doing. And so, like, I have to know what I'm doing to be able to show them that, there's better ways, and there's reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing long term. So, like, for me, being a leader, like, it's either within you, or you can train it, or you have to step up to the plate. So I think being a leader is something that I will never shy away from, because I think at the end of the day, you being a leader and being able to be a strong leader, like, compassionate and, empathetic at the same time, not manipulative, also influences other people that are not leaders to become leaders for their circle. So even if it's my siblings, for their family, my brothers, my sisters, for their future families, because they're my intermediate family, but they're going to have their own family in the future. So, like, if I can be an influence of them to be a leader in their small other family when they get the chance, then I've now created leaders by being a leader myself. And so that, I think, I just take it to, I take it serious. At the same time, I'm going to make mistakes too. I'm not perfect, but at the same time, I think I try my best, and it also shows them, like, you know what, I can make mistakes and I can still try my best. And it's all about my intentions, and hopefully I get good results.
Yeah, facts. And I like what you said about basically, at the end of the day, it's keeping yourself accountable. So if you're only making the right decisions when people are watching you, or you're, like, in my sense, like, you're only hitting the gym when you're posting a video, or only hitting the gym when someone asks you, or when someone got to tell you to go to the gym, like, it's kind of corny. It's like, are you really living up to what you're saying you are? You know what I mean? Are you painting a picture of yourself and really not that? And I just know, like, holding yourself accountable, like, that is one of the, like, the highest ways that you can, like, elevate yourself. Like, if you doing the right thing when nobody's looking, like, you don't give a fuck about who's watching you, or who thinks or what about you. You know what I mean? If you know you're taking care of business, like, it is what it is. Like, that you have confidence in yourself that you have your shit under control. You know what I mean? And if you know you're moving in the right direction, and you've been, working out every day, you've been meditating, you've been working on all your goals, and someone might say something on the lines of, like, not believing who you say you are, it's like, okay, it doesn't matter what you say, because I know where I am. It's the person that's maybe don't believe themselves when they having these comments, that comment's gonna bother them. You know what I mean? Like, if someone was on the street is to call you out of your name, like, you know who you are. You know what I mean? You know what type of man you are. So it shouldn't bother you. But to get into the next topic, talking about, our families and how important it is to be a leader in our families. How important is it for us to lead, with, you being the oldest, me being the youngest? Do you think that age is a big factor into being a leader in your family? Because I know for me, it's like being the youngest and, going the path that I went, it was, people don't take you as serious when you're the child of the family. Everybody else is grown, like you said, grown, doing their own thing, have their own families. Like, for you, you're trying to help your family develop better habits and a better life, and you're gonna watch them do that. I was the youngest watching my family develop and thinking like, how can I make my situation better? You know what I mean? Because I seen how everything was playing out. Because I have 4 sisters and I have 3 brothers. You know what I mean? So it was watching everything unfold, and it was just it was. We probably have way different viewpoints on this topic, but at the same time, like in my personal opinion, I feel like anybody in any situation can be a leader. You can be the youngest in the family and have ambition and goals and completely change the direction of that your family was going. Maybe nobody in your family ever went to high school or college. You know, you can completely like derail that how do you say it?
Path, like you say, like path or
That path trajectory of the family. You know what I mean? Like, oh, no one's ever graduated from college. No one's ever graduated or did this. No one's ever played pro ball. No one's ever been a CEO or owned a business. Like you can do anything that you can put your mind to. You know, as long as it's gonna positively impact your family, I feel like you should go all for it. And you know, if you are around a whole bunch of toxic people and you have a positive mindset, you're thankful, you're grateful, you're a good person, kind-hearted person, you know, you shouldn't change because of your environment. You know, I know it's going to be hard, but you can still be the person that you know that you can be. You just got to keep pushing and keep grinding to get to where you know you can go, no matter what your age is. But how do you feel when it comes to age and being a leader?
Like I think at the same time, like you just mentioned it all together perfectly, because I was going to touch back on the first topic too about like being a leader, and like the way you just you framed that question is perfect, because I believe like as a leader, the person who's a leader is the one who accepts faults and mistakes and also understands like being a leader, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to take risks that you think this is the best outcome, and you try to implement the process as best as you can. And for me, I started learning, and you know, you get so caught up in trying to be perfect that you actually lose respect, because when you try to be perfect, when people try to question you or you actually make a mistake, you then blame it on the event or the situation or the person for the reason why you weren't successful, because you're trying to be perfect. Like you're always blaming. Like when you try to be perfect, you're always blaming other things. You're always like, oh, this person, this situation. But then I noticed like the more like basically human I started looking at it, and like accepting that I thought this would be the best thing, but I was wrong. But you know what? After realizing this is wrong, I think I know what to do now, and it's this. And like I started realizing I was getting more respect and more people following a line with what I was saying, because I was being honest. Like, hey, I wasn't the second person to admit that I was wrong. I was the first person first. Like I didn't have to have somebody come tell me, hey, what you did was wrong. I admitted it first, saying like, I fucked up right here. And I was like very articulate, and I was very strategic in realizing where I made the mistake. So me being like conscious of like, I made the mistake right here, and this is why, because I thought this way, or I was expecting this, or I assumed this. Like the people around me started to like respect it, because they're like, oh, I don't have to hold him accountable, or he holds himself accountable. Like that's a leader. Like a person that's a leader is a person that holds himself accountable and sees what other people don't see. So I was saying a lot of things that people were like, damn, I thought he made a mistake because of this, but actually it was what he said is, I think is right, the reason why he made that mistake. And so getting the respect of that, and if you start to see what I'm saying, it's a mindset thing. It's not an age thing. Like everything I've been saying, right? It has nothing to do with age. My little brother could have maybe thought the same, and like that's a person you might be hesitant because of the age, but then when you listen logically and you remove your emotions, you're like, oh damn, he's right or she's right, if it's a sister or anybody. And so I started realizing like, yeah, I don't think leadership has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with your mindset, though. Because I've met 45-year-olds that still act like they're 17 that when they were in high school. I've met 17-year-olds that act like they're 45 years old when it comes to mature age and like mindset. And like especially like where I've worked at and the people that I've met and the feedback that I get, people are always constantly telling me like, man, you are like what did it say? Like you're somebody that's you're way more like I'm young, but like my mindset's different. Like they'll like more like mature, I guess, like mature mindset. And I've been getting told that since I was like 20 or 17 or even when I was 16, like super young. I mean, of course, I watch TV, play video games, stuff like that. But when it came to certain things and certain philosophies or mindsets, they were already telling me like, man, you are way like past your time. Like something you've been here before. People would tell me. And so like it comes with your mindset. I think that leadership is mindset, not age. You've seen young leaders of like basketball, football team or sports, even young presidents and like that are younger in age that are smarter than the older people, like quote unquote by age, right? So I started realizing like it's a mindset thing and the way you carry yourself. Like the way you carry yourself is huge. If you admit your wrongs, you admit your mistakes, and you see what other people don't see, and you implement and you're proactive and you know how to bring people together, that's a leader. But if you notice, that has nothing to do with age. That has everything to do with seeing what the other person that's been in your position above you, that they made mistakes. It's kind of like a person that like makes a product that's already been created better and they create it to their own. It's like you see the mistakes of others that were in front of you and you see what they didn't see and then you make it better to your own. So I think for me, like age has nothing to do with like leadership.
That's facts. That's facts. You couldn't have said it any better, honestly. Because I know, you know, in my situation, I learned a lot from my family's mistakes, my siblings' mistakes, older brothers, cousins. Learned real early, seeing stuff. So that's what just helped me be so much more laser focused when it came to like goals and ambitions. And I can't imagine what it has been for you because you're the oldest of 10. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what example did you have to do? Because I seen it like firsthand. Like, okay, this is what happens when someone gets addicted to drugs. This is what happens when someone neglects a child. This is what happens when someone isn't there for their children or for their family or just disappear from their family and not communicate. You know what I mean? I've seen like different things happen and I'm just like, damn, I know how that made me feel only being like the youngest brother. And I'm like, just imagine like if I was the oldest, like no telling how many mistakes I would have made. You know what I mean? And then having the pressure of like, I can't fuck up because they're watching me. You know what I mean? Like me being the youngest, like the only ones I had watching me was my nephews. And yeah, that brought a little pressure, but it's not the same as having all them siblings up under you. You know what I mean? So I commend you for, you know, how you change and watching you grow over this time. Like, bro, back from when you were cutting my hair, bro, like just how you speak, how you talk about issues, like you have a positive growth mindset. I feel like you're not stunted with with what you can learn or what you're always looking to learn something, always looking to better a situation, no matter like if we're talking about podcast stuff or we're talking about self-growth or we're talking about anything, you know what I mean? There's always a level of grit there where it's like, oh no, we got to get better. Like we're going to get better. And that helps push me too, because I've always been the person in my family to push. Like, hey, Brandon, like, why are you in here working out? You in here working out? It's 1 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been the one that's always been grinding. So when I find somebody, you know what I mean, that just so happens to be one of my best friends that has that same mentality, it's kind of crazy. It's like it makes the experience 10 times better. You know what I mean? That's what type of person you want around you. You dig what I'm saying? Having Chris here, like, bro, like, having a team, you don't understand how much that boosts you, bro. I seen an interview with Mr. Beast, and he was basically talking about, like, say you give someone a lot of money, and they go off, and they doing their own thing, and they start a business, right? They're going to make a ton of mistakes, right? So trial and error, right? Now, take 5 people, give them all bread, and have them all go start a business. Okay, Juan messed up on this in his business. Okay, Brandon's not going to make this mistake. Brandon messed up on this business. Brandon and Juan are learning from each other. Now, Chris starts something. Now, Brandon and Juan are teaching Chris how not to make these mistakes that they made in a business. And now you guys are elevated at a way higher rate because you guys are all learning from each other. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, I heard this quote where it's like, if you want to get somewhere quick, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go together. You know what I mean? And in that same sense, I feel like we're building a culture within our brand that we're bringing from the ground up in all reality. And we're learning from each other and we're pushing each other and we have the right mindsets about any and every situation. I feel like I could talk to you about pretty much anything. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like that's so important. And I feel like we learn from each other, like constantly. It's constant growth, constant. Like, it's like I looked up to you. I look up to you in a lot of facets. I look up to Chris in a lot of facets. Like, and it just helps me keep growing to be better. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know, I just love what we got like cooking here, and I just feel like our leadership rubs off on each other, and it's like catapulting us in a positive way.
I appreciate that. I didn't expect you to say all that. Like, but I think like I do identify with all that stuff. I didn't expect you to say none of that. But I mean, I think that means a lot. Like, for sure. I try to do that too. You know, I think sometimes we get so caught up on like trying that like you forget to smell the flowers sometimes. Like, hearing you say some of those things that made me like feel good. I'm like, damn, okay. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm coming off like an asshole sometimes, or I'm being like borderline, like not disrespectful, but I'm like, am I doing too much? Am I pushing too much? Like, am I putting like my expectations too high? Am I like, and you guys never made me feel like that. No. So like, that's like a great thing too, because I've been around a lot of people that did feel like that. So like, especially at my job, when I was in a position before I stepped down, like I was like always pushing. Like, a lot of people were receptive to it, but a lot of people felt like I was offensive, like offending them because of like the high expectations that I had for them. But it was a reflection of the high expectations I have for myself. Because at the end of the day, it's like you can do way more than what you think, you know, because people are constantly quitting. You're constantly quitting. You're stopping. But if somebody was there to push you, you could do way more. And so my thing was like, you know, I wish I had that early, and I try to do that to myself now. So I always feel the need, like I need to push people more than what they can do. But not everybody's receptive to that. Like, not everybody actually really likes that. Not everybody's ready for that. Some people don't really want that much, and I don't want to say they don't want much in life, because people will tell you they want the world, but people aren't willing to put in the work. And so for me, it's like I want to open people's eyes to like, hey, you can do way more than what you can think. Like, don't get too comfortable. Like, we got a lot. Like, this shit doesn't end. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's always room to improvement. Even when you think you're fucking perfect at something, you're not. Like, even though like you created this can be way better. Like, just because you getting the recognition, and just because you're getting the applause and everybody loves what you did, like, you don't just stop. Like, somebody else is gonna come up next. Like if you're like a music artist, you might make the song of the century in the moment, or like it's a hit, but next week somebody else's song just made a big hit, and now you're just left in last week already. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you constantly have to improve, and just like as a person, like, you continuously have to grow. And like that one quote, when I was like fully depressed and like hopeless when I was like 14, 16, and I was watching a YouTube video, and it said like, the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. Like, that just clicked like straight to like my soul. Is like, you have to keep learning. Like, this doesn't stop. Like, there's no end game here. Like, and at the same time, it's a beautiful thing. Like, you have like no choice but to keep going. Like, this does not stop. There's no such thing as like once I get here, I'm gonna have everything I want and I'm finally gonna be happy. Like, if you think that's real, like, you're gonna be into like a rude awakening, because that's not true. That happiness is not a destination. Content, you can force content, but those people who think they're content are the same ones who complain all the time. So it's like, the job's never finished. Like, you know, it never ends. So it's kind of like a beautiful thing at the same time, because imagine if you were to like to know, like, imagine if what was it? I think Mike Tyson said it, or there's like a quote. I heard it from Mike Tyson, like, or somebody. They were saying like, who said this? But they were like, God gives you everything that you want. like kind of like like not like a curse, but it's kind of like God gives you everything that you think you want to show you that you never really needed it or something. Like it's kind of like a blessing and a curse. Like he'll give you everything you want just to show you that that wasn't it. Like you think you want this, you think you want that, but when you get all that, like it's never enough. Like it's not enough. So it's like it's all about like you have to find like your purpose. You have to find what makes you happy. Giving. Like for me, I feel like at the end of the day, it's all about giving. Like giving. You have to give influence, give inspiration, give yourself, like give the dream to people to realize like it's all up to you and you can create the world that you want. And like also giving your faith to God or giving your faith to whatever belief that you have to realize like there's way more in life than like materialistic things like a car, money, any like thing specifically is not going to be enough. Like basically like it just never ends. So I think like just continuous improvement, like it just doesn't end. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, facts. And just to touch on that subject just a little bit, when we putting as we're talking about leadership and talking about different ways that we can just keep pushing and keep growing, how would this aspect look if we were to put it in a relationship aspect and being a leader in a relationship? Because I know for me, I feel like being a leader in a relationship without, I don't want to sound like a narcissist or anything anything like that. It's just like things for me personally are a lot smoother when, you take initiative and when you're able to communicate with your partner and make decisions. And it's just not just, oh, well, what do you want to do? What do you feel like we should do in this decision? And yada, yada, yada. Like, I feel like when you guys come to a conclusion and you guys, brainstorm about whatever decision you might make, it might be with, bills, with anything. And you can come to a decision, you know what, babe, I'm going to handle the bills. You handle bringing the food in the house, making sure everything's good, making our house a home, whatever it may be. And genuinely making these decisions, damn, I almost lost my thought. But making these decisions like, as a whole, I almost lost my thought right now. I almost lost my thought.
I know what you're saying because it's kind of hard to articulate it without sounding like
a narcissist.
Like a narcissist, yeah. Like, so you got it? Like, go down to 66.
So like, it might sound wrong in the world we live in, but being a leader and leading by example and trying to lead your woman in the right direction. Not that saying that she's going in the wrong direction, but leading her in the right direction, like, influencing her to work out, or, hey, how can we're facing a problem. How can we fix this problem? How can we do this? How can we do this? Babe, let's try this out and see how it works. And coming up with solutions, is part of being a leader. Just sitting back and woe's me, like, oh, you did this, I did this, yada, yada, yada. Like, that doesn't do anything for the situation at all. You know what I mean? Or pointing the finger, like coming up with solutions and trial and error. That's how you can become a leader in your relationship and set the initiative or set the you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah. So like my answer to that is like the person who's the leader is the one who sees what you don't see and knows how to get the results and understands that like they've been in this position, and AKA knowing what you want. Like at the end of the day, and knowing to take the risk. And like if you don't know, I know what I think is best. And if you want to question that, then what's the answer? What's the solution? If you can't tell me an answer or solution and you can't explain me your plan or your like your idea of why and how we should do this, then you have to take a seat. Take a seat. Like if you can't tell me how to do this or you don't know how to lead, why are you even putting in your 2 cents in? It's kind of like playing Monday quarterback. Like you see like, okay, Sunday Night Football. guy throws 4 interceptions, right? It's so easy the next day to be like, oh, number 2 was wide open over here, or like he should have did this, he should have did that. Like you're Monday quarterback, and the day after, when you've seen the film and you're not even the person that's getting the pressure, people are watching. You're on the stands. You're not on the field. So it's kind of like, if you're gonna, doubt me or doubt my plan, okay, let's do what you think. And if you can't answer that, then take a seat and let the person lead. The person who wants to lead, you let them lead. Unless you feel like you have a better way, then you speak up. And if it's reciprocated well, and if you know how to articulate it, obviously confidence, and obviously like strong opinion and like the energy, that's what brings somebody, and charismatic, and you know how like to use your words correctly, and you sell the vision too. Like as a leader, you need to sell the vision. You need them to see what you see. So like I'm not gonna expect nobody to do what I want them to do, and for me to lead, if they can't see what I see. I need to be able to express and show them what I'm seeing, and to get to that result. And especially in relationships, like I have that issue all the time. Like sometimes it's like not what you say, it's how you say it. Sometimes I come off like too blunt, too aggressive, and very strong-willed, because I strongly feel like this is the best thing to do. But sometimes, that your partner might not reciprocate that well, because they might have traumas of, men in their life that didn't guide them well, or women in their life that it didn't guide them well. And so like you have to also have that communication of like, hey, like this person might not might have gone through some issues with people that they looked at as leaders. So a tone of yours might trigger a trauma within them to not trust you or question you maybe too much, because they're not willing to be submissive to your guidance because of the issues that they've dealt with in the past. So like you dig like deeper and deeper into that. It's like, oh shit. So that's why communication is so huge, and the way you articulate yourself. Like you need to be able to sell the vision. Let them see what you see. If you can't show them that, then they're not gonna follow you. Also at the same time too, you have to hold yourself to a higher standard. Like you can't just say I'm a CEO and put it on your Instagram bio, and yet you're over here Netflix and chilling, and you're always doing something that's not productive, or you're over here giving people attention and people, and like either if it's a women, or if it's either men, like you can't respect that person. You can't really look at that person like as a leader. That's a ghost. You can't look at a person as a leader that doesn't really have the actions for it. So it's kind of like you might be struggling with your woman following your lead, but are you the person to actually be a leader? Like, do you hold yourself accountable? Do you take care of yourself? Are you a man of your word? That's huge. Like, obviously, a man of your word is your actions. Like, if you don't have all these things lined up, like, I'm not surprised why she not following you. Like, because you don't know how to articulate yourself. You just expect her to do things, yet you're not explaining the reason why. And sometimes it's hard. Like, sometimes you don't want to explain all the time why. Because honestly, like, that's a waste of time, especially if it's a life or death situation, or if it's just like a simple thing. Like, you don't want to have to explain every detail. But I think a reflection of that, if she or he doesn't listen on the first command, is because maybe of all the back work of the past. You not matching your words, you not matching your actions. You don't take care of the house, the business. You're always bullshitting. You're always calling off of work because you're sick or tired. You're always like too much in your emotions. Like, nobody's gonna want to follow that as a leader. Like, a leader is a person that does what needs to be done, even if they don't want to. So it's kind of like when you put that on to perspective, like, you have to look within yourself. Like, do you want to be a leader, or are you? It's a difference. Either you are a leader or you want to be. That's a difference. And it's kind of like the person who wants to be a doctor isn't asking other people if they should be a doctor. They're becoming a doctor, regardless of what you think. So, like, if you're a leader, you're a leader. If you want to be a leader, put in the work and have yourself be a reflection of it. Because if not, then that person's not going to follow you.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I completely agree. Shit, you ain't on your shit and you're trying to be like, oh, like you're unemployed, you're not doing shit with your life, but you're like,
Trying to tell her
I'm a
what to
high value man. Like, baby, listen to me. It's like, bro, you're not even taking care of yourself. You feel what I'm saying? But I 100% agree with you. And to transition this into our next topic. One of the things I wanted to talk about as well is consistency and perfection. One of the questions that I wanted to ask was what's more important, striving to be more consistent or striving to be more perfect? Because in my personal opinion, striving for perfection has its ups and downs. Let's say you're striving for a specific body, or you have a certain goal that you want to pursue, or why are you laughing, dog?
I ain't gonna lie, it was starting to get hella hot in here. I saw Chris turn on the AC, and once I heard it turn on, I was like, thank God. I was about to take off this shirt.
Hey, nah.
No, but you're good. Now go ahead. Like, I think that's a good topic, honestly. Consistency and perfection.
Yeah. Because perfection. Let's just say perfection. Striving for perfection. Hey, yo, I can't deal with you, bro. I can't deal with you, bro. Are you good?
A little bit.
A little bit.
All right.
Nah, but for real, like striving for perfection, like basically no mistakes. Nobody's perfect, bro. So if you're striving for perfection and you make a mistake. Please. Oh my God. Please. Hey, we gotta end the show. No, but for real, on a serious note.
All right.
When you're striving for perfection, once you make a mistake, it's disheartening. It's like it's discouraging knowing that like you keep making the same mistake, or you're not as consistent as you want to be, or you have a certain image of yourself and you're not meeting up to that. You know what I mean? It might be discouraging and throw you and derail you. And I feel like when you're striving to be consistent, or you are consistent, you're building that house brick by brick. You're building your habits, and you're gonna get to that goal, but it has to start from one day at a time. It has to start with doing the simple tasks and doing them on an everyday basis, like you said, regardless if you feel like it or not. Mm-hmm. So if I'm trying to change my body and I'm not working out, if I'm not eating right, if I'm not stretching, if I'm not doing the things to actually build healthier habits, you're not going to wake up and look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're not going to wake up and look like Terry Crews. Like, you got to put the work in. Right. So you'll start with your day one. It doesn't matter what anybody else's day one is. Start with your day one, and where you can make progress. You should be battling with the person you were yesterday. So if you're constantly getting better, okay, I'm better than I was Monday. I'm better than I was Tuesday. I'm better than I was Wednesday. Actually, I lost a lot of weight. I'm better than I have been my whole life. You know what I mean? That should be your motivation and building off those building blocks. But for you, what is more important? Perfection, striving for perfection, or consistency?
See, like for me, like when I think about it, it's like, okay, like being consistent is like, okay, day one, knowing that you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to do and create what you think is best. Knowing that you're going to update it later on. Each time that you do it, you're going to get better and better. Like, that's fine. You're going to sharpen the steel more and more every day. And then for me, perfectionist is like, you need to make sure you have all your P's and Q's in order. You analyze everything. Before you start anything, you have the business plan filled out. Who's going to be on the team? Who's going to do this? Okay, do I need an LLC? Should I trademark? Should I copyright? And now you're like 2 years later, still haven't started nothing. Like, so me, it's consistency is the best. Consistency is that you just start. Like, but when it comes to like perfectionist, is like you're overthinking it. Like, you're just trying to basically like you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing everything. Like, you just need to start. So like for me, it's like consistency is the best thing over being a perfectionist, because like if you're being a perfectionist, you're constantly never starting. You're always thinking like, oh, what if this happens? You're like kind of paranoia. You're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting the process. You're not willing to make a mistake because of how you were taught in school, or your parents, your family. Wait for the perfect time. That's the worst thing ever. It's like waiting for the perfect time. Thank God you said that, because like I think that's the worst thing you could do. There's never a perfect time. There's never a perfect time to have kids. There's never a perfect time to start your career. There's never a perfect time to start your business. Never a perfect time. Never a perfect time to start a relationship. Like you gotta just let things grow naturally. Just take a chance. You need to take a chance. Take a risk. It might not work. You will fail, and that's the best thing that can happen to you. Imagine living your whole life being successful and you never fail. In my eyes, you never learned anything really. And also, if you're always succeeding and you're always like, you never failed, imagine when you do fail, you'll crumble because you never had the tough skin building from making the mistakes. When this happens, you know when to do this. You know who to reach out to if this happens. But like, if you were just worried about being consistent, then you're worried about like, okay, I'm going to just start today. I'm going to create this video. Every week I'll make a video. Every day I'll figure out a better way of doing it naturally. I think this is dope. And then like you create that week 1 video, and then you look at week 52, looking back at week 1, you're like, damn, that was trash. But I thought that was fire when it first came out. Like our first episode, like we thought that, I thought like we thought it was fire. Like I can't even bear to look back at it because I'm just like embarrassed of like, damn, that was terrible.
That shit was bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like we thought it was good though. Like hey, we got episode 1 done. Like same thing too is like when you look at the first pictures of like working on your physique and like this is where you're trying to go, and like your day 1 photo is like, wow, I got a lot of work to do. And then you look at like, you know, from week 1 to, you know, 1 year later, you're like, oh wow, like I went from that to this, and I would have never thought that I would get to this. But consistency got you there. Like doing it when you didn't want to, like when the diet wasn't easy, you were sick, a family event, trial and error, your job 9 to 5, but you kept pushing through. You wanted to stop. You weren't chasing perfection. Like, 'cause if you were chasing perfection, you would have stopped and you would try to restart. Maybe next year is better. Maybe I start in the summer. It's winter, it's the holidays, I just want to eat, whatever, blah blah. Like it's hard to push through those moments. And if you're like searching perfection, then you're always gonna wait for the right time to do it, and there's never a right time. So for me, like consistency is like always the best. And like I'm pretty good at consistency when it comes to doing what I feel is best at the moment. And like I might not be working out every single day, but I'm constantly like structuring myself to take care of myself still, whether if it's eating. If I'm not working out, I'm eating better. If I'm not eating better, I'm working out. And it's for me just trying to put the formula together my own way. Like you can try to follow what celebrities do or whatever, but like you need to do what's best for you, and like maybe get like an accountability partner, your friends, your family, put it out in the world, put it in a tweet, Instagram, like this year I'm going to do this, because then it adds more to you to then be consistent, because people are watching, or people are going to ask you like, hey, you said you were going to do this next week and yet you still haven't done it. And it kind of makes you kind of like, damn, I did say that. Like now you kind of force yourself to be consistent at the same time. You know you're not perfect. So it's like, for me, like I think being a perfectionist is the worst thing to be and to do, because I've also like suffered from that, and it's the reason why I felt like it took me a long time to get where I'm at, because I was always trying to be a perfectionist. I mean, I'm only 27, but like I wish I would have got over the fact of trying to do things perfect. Like nothing's gonna be perfect. We're humans. We're not perfect, right? So I realized like, you know what, just start. There's going to be mistakes, and be okay with it. That's where growth is at. Like you need to fail. Like if you don't welcome failure, you don't welcome mistakes, then you also ignore growth. And so for me, it's like, you know what, just do the best I can, release or do what I think is dope. And then if it's not later on, then I've constantly continued and I've grown to the point where I could look back and be like, damn, I thought that was fire, but it's not. And then I look at where I am now, I'm like, damn, this is fire. But then even then, years later, it just gets better and better. The more you do something, the better you get at it. So for me, chase consistency, aka welcoming failure instead of being perfectionist, and shying away from failure.
Yeah, for sure. And bro, I don't know about you, but did you used to be devastated when you were failing something, or when things wouldn't go your way? It was just like it would just hurt, bro. And
so personal.
I just remember, like, and this can be, you know, football or not, like losing games, might not get the position that I want, might not get the respect that I want, might not get the notoriety that I think I would want. Being overlooked, like it was just a whole bunch of things that just didn't sit well with me. You know, failing in relationships, being trash at relationships, being trash at communication, even being called out on my own bullshit, and not being in the right mindset to accept it. You know, both like with my family or relationship. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow. But once you change how you think about those things, like don't think of them as negativity, like failing with a clothing brand or a business, or failing with, you know, trying to get into a school, trying to do anything in a relationship. Like you got to think about everything as like, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And it sounds corny to hear, and to say, but you really don't like grow until you change your perception of failures. Because I kid you not, the day I was like, you know what, you know, fuck it, it is what it is. I could try my best. I'm gonna do my best, and if I fail, then what can I learn from this? Every time I fail or something doesn't go my way, what can I learn from this? If I can't learn nothing from this, I need to dig deeper. You know, and that's when the most, you know, thinking and growth started to come from me. You know, and it made me dig even harder, push even harder as well. You know, for relationships, you know, being trash at communication. I was terrible at communication. I think I still am, but I'm 10 times better than what I used to be. You know, I'm still building on consistency and still building on, the brick by brick. You know what I mean? And I know eventually I will be good at it. But the fact is, like, I'm a trying man. I'm going to continue to work on myself and do better so I can be better in my relationship, be better with my family, be better with communicating with my family, be better with, being more outspoken with things. Because, as men, like, I don't know about you guys, you kind of talked a little bit about, wanting to, tap into your feminine side and wanting to tap into your emotion. And, I've always been the type to bury it in the hatchet, you know what I'm saying? And bury it down and distribute it in different ways. And once I get into the gym, once I get on the punching bag, once I get outside and run, once I meditate, once I have to do something physically active. Football helps a lot because, you go blast somebody, you frustrated the day before. It helps relieve a lot of stress, but that's not going to be there forever. But I just know that dealing with things on my own has always been an anchor for me. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's not healthy. It might not be healthy for you, but for me, like, burying it down, and I hear that a lot. Like, oh, no, you need to talk to somebody, yada, yada. And it's just like, I hear you, but I know what works for me. I know what has been working for me. So when I am approached with something that might be hurtful, death in the family, it could be anything, I assess it myself. Because when you're a certain level of person in your family, like a leader in your family, and you feel like your nieces and nephews, like your siblings or anybody, can come to you and talk to you about anything emotionally, right? Hey, I'm going through this. Hey, I need guidance on this. Hey, I need with this. Even your older siblings, even, anybody. It could be anybody, your mom, your dad. It could be anybody, right? What happens when you're not available no more? Who do they go to? You dig what I'm saying? So I have always just wanted to be that person that any and everybody, friends, family, that you could talk to me. You know what I'm saying? I don't care if you don't even know me. Like, I've had people like open up to me and they don't even know who I am. It could be like someone random at my job. You know what I mean? But I like being that person because I feel like that's who I was meant to be. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
and I feel like in a lot of ways you were like that for me as well. You know what I mean? Like, we might have a lot of we might have a lot of differences, but I think in that way we're similar as well, because when I was going through stuff, and the very few times that I did like open up and talk about things, it was with you before we started the podcast.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what brings us together, and I think that's what makes me stronger as well, because once you get to that breaking point, once you find okay what works for you, one, you know what works for you when you're dealing with stress and anxiety. You know what I mean? You're trying out new things. You're developing new habits. You're doing things to benefit you and for the long run, right? So as time goes on, we're gonna get better with that as well. But I know, and I know a lot of men are like this. They bury it down the hatchet and distribute it, in different ways. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I feel like if you are dealing with a lot of stuff, because it's people that's dealt with 1,000 times more than me, find your happy medium. Find your outlet to where you can deal and cope with this stress. Keep striving and get to a point where it's like, okay, okay, I might be frustrated. I might be dealing with something. I'm going to go hit the gym. I'm going to go to the boxing gym. I'm going to go to the weight room. I'm going to go hang out with my boys. I'm going to go do something. You have to have some type of outlet for that, because I can't say when you do bury it down and you're not doing anything and you're just sitting and you're not in the sun, you're not out doing anything, you're going to turn and that anger is going to get pointed at somebody. And somebody's gonna be in the back, the other end of that barrel. You know what I'm saying? So, find what makes you in the times when you're down. Find the things that make you see the sunlight.
Yeah, that was perfectly well said too. I feel like you need to find like an outlet. Like you need to find ways to like be able to express yourself in ways that maybe it's not like the social norm, or like this not like the popular way of doing things. Like for me, like bro, like at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a better man. I'm a trying man. Like I'm trying to, like right now I'm like reading the Quran. I'm over here like thinking about becoming Muslim, which is something crazy to me. Like if I look at my 16-year-old self, like damn near, I wouldn't say I was atheist. I always felt like I never really had like a trust in religion. But there's one thing for sure, like I always knew there was God. Like I always knew there was something that was like bigger than me, because when times would get tough, I would pray to like, like Almighty God or God himself. I never prayed in the way of like Catholicism, even though I was born Catholicism, or Christianity, or even like Jehovah's Witness, or even like Muslim, or all these like other religions, Buddhism, blah, blah, blah. Like I never like identified with none of them, but I just knew there was God. And so like with me now, like kind of like letting myself go and trying to trust God instead of just putting all my trust into myself, like it's giving me so much clarity. Because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a better man for my friends, my family, the women that I have in my life, like co-workers or people that I meet every day. Like I'm trying to be an inspiration for people to, at first I wanted was for them to be themselves and for them to trust themselves and let go of a lot of maybe things that I dealt with. But at the same time, I feel like I'm coming from a place now where like I want people to maybe find a faith. Like, you have to find a faith into something. I'm not saying it has to be religion all the time, but you gotta believe in something though. Like you need to believe in something to put that pressure off of yourself, because you're human. You can't do everything, and you can't just blindly believe that that everything is your fault. Because for me, I looked at everything like it was my fault if I didn't get like certain like outcomes, which is fine. But sometimes I realize like, hey, sometimes you can love something so much that actually is gonna hurt you, and you can also hate something that actually is good for you. So sometimes you don't really understand what's going on, and even when you think like at the end of the day, God knows. Like it's written already in your life, and you have to trust the fact that like what you're going through is for a reason. And that's so like Instagram post type shit, right? And like I want to dig that one deeper, because I don't want to just say shit that's generalized. Like when I mean like everything happens for a reason, like you need to realize like whatever happened in my life, there's a message in here. Maybe I shouldn't have trusted this person when all the signs were telling me not to. Maybe I need to focus on my purpose instead of focusing on a relationship that's causing me to not love myself because of how I am with this person. Instead of it just being all about me, it's what this person and myself brings me to be. And maybe I need to let this person go. Like sometimes you're in a relationship longer than you should. Sometimes you're friends with somebody that you shouldn't be. Sometimes you're working at a toxic job that you shouldn't be. And sometimes you got to take a chance and like trust faith that, hey, this is just part of the process. And so for me, it's like at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be a better person for the people around me. And I'm just trying to be like just kind of, I don't want to be looked upon. Like I'm not trying to be idolized. I'm not trying to frame myself or make myself look like I'm perfect. Like I'm just trying to make myself be an inspiration to people to maybe open their eyes and perspective to something else. So like at the end of the day, it's kind of like we're just trying. Like at the end of the day, I'm just trying. I'm just trying to be great. I'm trying to be the best person I can be at the same time. Like I'm going to fuck up and it's going to be broadcasted with a podcast like this as a person. And like I'm going to make mistakes and my family going to know, my friends going to know. And I think like I'm going to be okay with that because at the end of the day, I'm not living my life for those people at the end of the day. I'm living my life at this point towards God and like just trying to please and put my faith into God. And at the end of the day, like he judges me. So if I'm only worried about one person judging me, then I'm not worried about thousands of people on the internet or like family, friends. I'm more worried about God himself. At the end of the day, like he dictates how I live my life. And I'm worried about one judgment instead of thousands of people. And so now it makes my life easier of just like live it and try to do your best at this point. And I can't suffer and self-sabotage myself by not being perfect in the eyes of another human that's not perfect. So it's kind of like just do my best.
Yeah, facts. And going back to your comment when you said like it was kind of crazy. I don't think it was crazy for you to find God. Like I feel like yeah, we are different religions, but I feel like it was only a matter of time for you to find, something to believe in, because in the way that you were moving already, I told you, months and months ago that you already move in the way of someone who is, a true Christian. You know what I mean? I told you like, how you move, your intent and everything is a ideal like man. You're a real man. You don't lie, you're not gonna steal, you live on principles, you have morals. Like I feel like it was only a matter of time, and whether you're Islamic, whether if you're Muslim, whether if you're Christian, whether if you're Catholic, it doesn't matter. I still support you. But I just want you to keep going on your path and don't go at your timing. Don't let anyone tell you like, hey, Juan, like you should go this route because this route was good for me. What's the best route for you? You know what I mean? Whatever, religion that you might believe in. I feel like if it sits well with you and you see truth in it, then you should pursue it. And if it's gonna make you a better person, then that's what you should do, because you finding this and not having to be like someone, like you weren't born into being Muslim, and that's what's gonna make your relationship different. You know what I mean? Because you're picking to dedicate to not. I'm not saying you dedicated your life yet, but you're picking to serve your God. You know what I mean? And that's a whole lot different than someone being told to. But I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Once again, Chris, thank you so much for all you
behind
do,
the
man.
camera.
Behind the camera, Wanavelli,
Yes.
thank you so much for all you do, man. And I know like we be bullshitting and joking, and I'm always joking, roasting y'all. But at the end of the day, bro, like on a serious note, like I do appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? Like, don't let my rhetoric or like how my personality is like make y'all think or make you feel like maybe like you're coming off as harsh, because You know, it's nothing to have a conversation. Just all the stuff we were talking about earlier, like that's all of a conversation. You know, I know you have your way of thinking, I have my way of thinking, but that doesn't mean that there needs to be an argument. It doesn't mean that it needs to be friction. It's like simple. Let's have a conversation. Sit down and have a conversation, right? So, but like I said, I appreciate you guys. We appreciate all you guys for supporting us. We thank you so much. You guys have, you know, shown a crazy amount of love to us. We got merch on the way. Oh, we got the real merch on the way.
Can't wait.
Come on now.
Should I show him? You could.
Should I show him?
SRP, baby.
SRP.
Oh, SRL.
SRL with the
logo on the back. So, oh, we getting there.
Now.
Come on
now.
So we stepping it up now.
But we gonna make a post for you guys and we're gonna explain it all. But you know, we love you guys and we thank you so much for tapping in with us. And we'll see you next episode of Self Revelation.